The Rams have wrapped up their OTAs, and we've got big takeaways. That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and let us know what are your thoughts on the Matthew Stafford contract situation. What are your big takeaways from Rams OTAs? My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. SI, 24/7 Sports, Bleacher Report, Dodgers Nation. Now the Rams 4 Locked On. And as always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-, half, and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's entering his 9th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And today's episode, we got the big takeaways from Rams OTAs. Also, the Rams have one player in the top 50 in merchandise sales. Who is that player? And is that a problem for the Rams trying to build this franchise in LA? All that more coming up next. But first, this episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, Travis, we're going to get into it, but I don't know if you saw this yesterday. The Rams on their social media, on their IG, you had the Madden cover release, and it's CMC, Christian McCaffrey, but the Rams, they had their own edition that featured Aaron Donald, the Legends edition. And first and foremost, I think this would have been a great idea for Madden to do. I mean, you've seen other sports when a big player retires, They'll have that legend on there. It was an awesome cover. It was kind of a ferocious Aaron Donald pick. I would have preferred the pointing to the ring finger pick that we saw in the Super Bowl and in the NFC Championship game. But another example of the Rams, just kind of looking deep into it, another example of the Rams just kind of playing some mind games. Hey, let's see yourself on the cover of Madden in the Rams uniform. So we're still here, right, Aaron?
Look, there's the first thing that crossed my mind, too, that this feels like a very strategic, a very deliberate, and a very good and subtle way of just constantly reminding him, we're here for you. We're, don't the door is open. Your room is still made, right? We haven't remodeled the house since you left. We're ready for you to slide right back in here and pick up your spot from where you left off. I know we've covered this a lot. I think it's a fascinating topic. And if you said to me, you got to bet your life on whether he's coming back or not, I think I'd say no. But if you said, do you want some decent odds on something coming back? Yeah, I do think that all of these little landmarks along the way, including this one, lead you to believe that they're at least open to the possibility of it happening, which gives me a little bit of hope. And look, I never want to root against anybody as far as their health goes, but if I'm Christian McCaffrey and I have a history of being busted up and the Madden curse is a real thing, I know it hasn't really kind of bit anybody in a while. It's been a little while since that's been a thing, but I don't know if I'd tempt fate quite like that.
Yeah, that was my first response. If I'm a Niners fan, I'd say no, right? I mean, come on now. But still, I mean, it's an honor to be on the Madden cover, but Aaron Donald, definitely, hey, let's not forget, still an option. The locker room's still ready for you. Teammates still want you back. AD, if you're watching this, let's get it. But let's dive into some OTA takeaways. We got to start. We talked about this, of course, a good amount of times, is Matthew Stafford's contract situation. I mean, really, most important position on an NFL team is the quarterback. And then keeping your quarterback happy is also a big part of that. And Sean McVay was asked by the reporters for the 5,000th time about the Matthew Stafford contract situation, if he was going to be available and holding out during training camp, and he said that he won't. And he said that it's his expectation that he will be participating in Rams training camp. And he reiterated that all the conversations and negotiations between the two will be kept in-house, and that right now the talks are just between them. They're not going to leak anything. He said, like I said, we keep things internally. I couldn't be more impressed with the way that he's handled it, the way that he's led and been here every single day doing his thing. And that sure means a lot to me. Like I was telling you before the show, he was a little annoyed before that. Of course, the great Rams beat reporter Gary Klein kept asking. He's like, Gary, I'm going to be thinking about this all off season. We think about this every day. All I think about is Matthew Stafford's contract, Gary. And
Right.
So yeah, it seems like it's definitely heavy in front of mind for this Rams organization. I think it's very important.
I think that you and I were talking about this, I don't know, last week or the week before. And I said on a scale of 1 to 10, that 1 being not worried at all and 10 being I don't think he's coming back, that I was a negative 600. I just don't think that this is a topic, or at least not a topic, but something to worry about. That's how I felt a couple of weeks ago. It's how I feel right now, too. This will get done. It is a little odd that Sean McVay got a little testy, which is really not his default setting. Sean McVay's pretty good with the media, and Gary is doing his job. These are the questions that he needs to ask. This is the information that Rams fans want to know. But my level of concern on Matthew Stafford not getting what he wants, my level of concern on the Rams not having their quarterback at the start of the season or at camp or at any point in this is still somewhere below zero. It will get taken care of for the simple fact that the Rams take care of the people that they want to take care of. There is no animosity between these two groups. There is no we can do better. There is no anything other than the price point for quarterbacks has changed. He probably wants to pay a little bit more, or I should say play a little bit longer than maybe he might have thought a year or two ago. And we know the guaranteed money situation beyond this year really isn't there. He probably wants a little security. I certainly understand that. It will get done. I am still a 0.0 on the worry scale.
Me too. No worries at all whatsoever. But I do think that what we see with this Rams organization is we're entering the time of the year where you get these deals done. So, I mean, you look at after the 2021 season, we just talked about Aaron Donald. They ripped up his contract, gave him a new deal, gave him a raise, more guaranteed money. They got that deal done. Looked it up June 6th. Cooper Kupp extension 2022 signed on June 8th. Todd Gurley extension signed on July 24th. The extension, the new deal, whatever he wants, it is coming. I guarantee it. I can't wait to do a show about it here on Locked On Rams. And we're celebrating the fact that we still have a top 5 quarterback, by the way. Chris Sims showing him some love, throwing it out there. He did his top 5 quarterbacks. Hit our boy Matthew Stafford at number 5. So finally, Stafford get a little bit of respect. And the Rams, they certainly know he's a top 5 quarterback, and he'll be compensated in the way that he thinks is justified. So definitely excited to get that deal done. But we got more OTA takeaways coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
All right, it is the middle of baseball season. We still got a little basketball left. We still a little hockey left, but the NFL season is going to be here but before too long. You're going to need tickets to go to all this stuff. I went to a comedy show last weekend. Saw Big Jay Okerson, as a matter of fact. So the point is, you need tickets to go to all this theater in your neighborhood. Gametime. Put the Gametime app on your phone because they've got tickets to whatever it is that you want to go see, right? Sports, concerts, comedy, theater, anything in your area, Gametime has you covered. And what I love about it, sometimes you just decide at the last minute to go, killer last minute deals, all in prices, so you never have that moment when you get to the end of the line, views from your seats, and of course, their lowest price guaranteed. Gamework, it takes Gametime, I should say, takes all of the guesswork out of buying your NBA tickets, your NHL tickets, Major League Baseball, you name it, they got you going. And especially on last minute deals, up to 60% off buying last minute for your sports, concerts, comedy, theater, really anything you want. So make it easy on yourself. Put the Gametime app on your phone and take the guesswork out of buying your NBA Finals tickets and everything else with Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, it's easy. You create an account, you redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And also, I want to send a special shout out to those every listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. And also, you should join the Every Listeners Club too. Membership is 100% free, and you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. Also, a quick reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. All right, Travis, so we're going to keep rolling with these OTA takeaways, and the next one I've got is I saw a lot of people freaking out on social media about the Rams and some of the players that were out, some of the players that were injured. I mean, Ernest Jones, Rob Havenstein, Kyren Williams. I think that it is not an issue at all whatsoever. I think health is wealth for this Rams team, and I think it's clear that the priority was let's get to training camp and make sure these guys are 100% healthy. Yep. That's all that matters. So freak out factor is also a 0 on that one.
I'll go a 0, and a 1 is what I'll do it. I'm a 0 on Ernest Jones. I'm a 0 on Rob Havenstein, and I'm a 1 on Kyren Williams. And the only reason it's a 1 on Kyren Williams is because Kyren Williams has missed significant time in both of his 2 NFL campaigns up until this point. He basically missed the entire first year of his career. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but he literally got hurt on the very first play of the entire NFL season and came back towards the very end. Last year, wasn't really in the rotation in a meaningful way to start. Finally did get the starting job, got hurt right away, missed a chunk of time, then came back and absolutely killed it after that, and was a really important part of what they did offensively through the last part of the season. But again, got hurt in the playoff game against Detroit as well. He has a history of getting hurt. And I think that I don't think it's that he's not working hard. I don't think it's that he's not in shape. I think it's nothing other than bad luck. And some guys just have bad luck when it comes to their health. Rob Havenstein has been a rock at right tackle. Ernest Jones has played a lot, so I'm not really worried about those guys. But with Kyren Williams, anytime he decides, or decides is the wrong word, anytime he is not playing, I do have a little bit of, okay, why not? How serious? Because if they say, oh, it's nothing, well, if it were really nothing, he would be playing, so it's something. So he's the one guy that I have a little bit, and again, it's a small level, because like you said, we're in the beginning of June. The beginning of the season is a long way away. So he's the only one that even has a mild sense of concern for me.
Yeah, and really a lot of the times you're talking about onboarding stuff and those kinds of things is during OTAs. And I think with Kyren Williams, yeah, absolutely. He has missed significant time through the course of his young Rams career. And I think if you want to point out the fact that it's a foot injury, right? It's a running back and a foot injury for a running back coming off having that thumb injury that he suffered in the wild card loss to the Lions. Yeah, absolutely. As I give you a little bit of anxiety about it, but I still think that was the beauty of it, that they went out there and they got a Blake Corum. If you saw last episode of Behind the Grind where they featured us again on it, I don't know if I'm waiting for my Rams paycheck on my appearances on Behind the Grind. I guess I don't know how that works. You'll tell me after the show. You've been on a million shows, but
they love you.
I mean, put us in the info, give us a link. I mean, subscribe to the channel, Rams. At least subscribe to the channel.
I'll be honest, D-Mac, I haven't had the pleasure of getting to see it quite yet. Do we at least get a credit at the end of it at least?
I'm not sure. And honestly, I don't care because, I rip and I watch it every 10 minutes. But
of course,
the point I'm trying to make, though, is on the episode when they drafted Blake Corum, Sean McVay, he immediately goes and he calls Kyren Williams. And Kyren Williams is really excited and really amped about the fact that they went up and drafted Blake Corum. So that tells me that he's probably a guy that's saying, you know what? Look, I would love to get the lion's share of the carries, but he also realizes for him to be effective that he's going to benefit from a two-headed monster type of approach that they're going to take. And I think with Blake Corum, with Kyren Williams, I think Blake Corum just a bowling ball style running back there in the red zone. And Kyren Williams is really the best red zone threat they had last season. So I'm excited to see that. And then also, too, Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson, we're going to talk more about because I think for me, another guy that's going to take this offense to a whole nother level. You bring back Kevin Dotson, Steve Avila, he shifts over to center, and then you got Jonah Jackson. Well, Sean McVay has said that they've been careful with him during OTAs. He said about Jackson, there were a couple of guys that we really had in mind as the goal. As always, let's be able to get them onboarded above the neck. Let's build the right foundation, have those guys ready to go when we open up training camp on the 23rd of July. And that was a question for Jonah Jackson. So, yeah, I think for me, that's going to be big as well. Just a rebuilt offensive line, just making sure all these guys are healthy and ready to go when the pads start clicking and clacking and things get real.
Yeah, as far as the running back situation goes with Corum, you're going to need more than one. And you're really going to need more than one if the one you do have has a little bit of an injury history. So I like that Corum is there and ready to go, and I like the pick, and that Kyren Williams is on board. I think he's a team guy. I think that he understands that this is the process in the NFL. This isn't, the 70s and 80s where you just grind a guy with 35 carries a game. That's not going to happen. You're going to split it up there. The Jonah Jackson thing, I think you're spot on. That this is clearly where they put the emphasis on this team in this offseason. Put the draft aside for a second. Where they really focused on what they were doing is they re-signed Kevin Dotson. They traded for Jonah Jackson. Signed Jonah Jackson. They moved Steve Avila, who was, quite frankly, maybe their best offensive lineman last year, played every single snap, put him back at maybe his more natural position at center. And they're building that line from the inside out to the tackles, which I think is a smart way to do it, especially considering that San Francisco has been, the heavyweight in your division over the last couple of years. And that's where they've probably made most of their money against the Rams in particular. So I like that a lot. And it just, now the installs, the onboarding, whatever you want to call it, this is the stuff that you can start to do here. So when we do get into the middle and late part of July and really start to crank it up for the start of the season, those guys are as healthy and as prepared as they can possibly be.
Absolutely. You have to play it safe in these situations, no doubt about it. But coming up next, we get some more Rams OTAs, and we're talking Rams merchandise sales. Only one Ram in the top 50. Ooh. That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Travis, so talked about it earlier. Cooper Kupp is the only Rams player in the top 50 of the NFL's merchandise sales list. And yes, a lot of fans, they already have Cooper Kupp jerseys, Aaron Donald jerseys, Matthew Stafford jerseys, but Jalen Hurts was first. Patrick Mahomes was third. Travis Kelce was fourth. Christian McCaffrey was fifth. A lot of fans already have those jerseys as well. So, we've talked about it on the show. You really want to find that next superstar at some point that this city and this franchise can build with for the next decade, and really find a guy that can enter that top 5 at some point. I think that will take this franchise to a whole nother level.
I'll be honest, Doug. I cannot believe that Puka Nacua is not on that list.
Me too. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense for what you said, that, right? If you are a Chiefs fan or an NFL fan and you're a Jersey guy, how do you not have a Patrick Mahomes by now, right? I don't understand how that's the thing that you go and get at this point. But a new guy who shows up, who plays a glamorous position at wide receiver, who plays incredibly well, who plays in a giant market like Los Angeles, and quite frankly, has a cool name. Puka Nacua is a cool name. Having a Puka jersey on your back is new. It's not Aaron Donald. It's not Matthew Stafford. It's the new hot thing. That he wasn't on there blows me away, because he checks in and he's got swag and he's got style and he's got all of these things that you would think would kind of translate to jersey sales. But I guess this is why I'm not in charge of such things as far as the NFL goes, because I would have, if we were playing a game to say a guy that just came out of nowhere to sell a bunch of jerseys, I would have put Puka at the very top of that list. And here we are, not even top 50.
Or at the very least, if you're Stan Kroenke, go out there and spend like $4 million on Puka Nacua jersey.
Buy him up.
Just so you could enter this list, right? I don't care what you have to do. It's good for marketing, good for branding, builds his star power. But what really blows my mind, Travis, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, and Justin Fields are all ranked in the top 50. All ranked. These are backups on different teams. And Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald aren't on that list.
I have a theory. So you're talking about Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, and I forget what was the last one?
Justin Fields.
Okay. This is going to take me a second. Los Angeles is not really a jersey culture like other places are, right? That there are plenty of people here that buy jerseys, that wear jerseys to games, that like to wear their colors when they show up at the arena or the stadium. I get that. You watch a Dodger game on any given night, there's nothing but Ohtani and Betts jerseys and Dodger. I get it. We wear the stuff. But you don't wear it to work. You don't wear it to weddings. You don't wear it to the way that the outside of LA, a jersey is like a piece of formal attire in a lot of other communities. We don't really roll like that. So when they get mad in other places, like a Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh or a Fields in Chicago or Mac Jones in Boston, they burn it. And now they need to replace it because they got a wedding they got to come up to. They got something else that they need to go do. They got a job interview and they need to put on their best Mac Jones running in, and they burned it because he threw 2 interceptions in the last week. So we don't really roll like that. We're a little bit more of a measured society of sports fans out here. Sometimes that works for us. Sometimes it works against us. But that is my jersey theory as to why bad players sometimes are near the top of the list, because they keep getting their stuff burned.
That's an interesting theory. I like that theory. And if you're a burn jersey guy, I love that. I think it's funny,
man.
They're expensive. Exactly. Give me that jersey. Send me that jersey. I'll wear it. I don't care if it's get the jersey insurance, right? You can send it back. But I have a theory too. You know, my theory is I don't think fans love the modern Rams jersey. I don't think they love it. I think it's a nice modern jersey. But if you hit on, I think that now it's like, you saw the Browns go back to their traditional jersey. I mean, the jerseys that sell year after year, I mean, the Chiefs are up there. I mean, the Cowboys, right? These are jerseys that just don't change. You know, they don't have that modern twist to it. And I think that also, I mean, look at Jason Kelsey was second on the list, and on the Eagles. Eagles haven't changed their jersey for years. So, yeah, I think that you want a star player, but I also think a jersey change to a more traditional kind of what the Rams have done with where the ram horn truly goes around and you don't just see half of it. I think that was the big issue I had with the jersey. I like the modern throwback, especially the white one. That's my favorite. I know your favorite's the blue and yellow. I don't think it's a bad jersey at all whatsoever, but I mean, it's a lot of a jersey. I mean, the numbers kind of have that shiny paint look to it. It's just a lot of a jersey to go out there and rock casually, because we know when it comes to traditional stuff, I mean, the Dodgers, they've never changed their jersey, and Shohei Ohtani became the best-selling jersey in Fanatics in a 24-hour span. So you get the right player, you get the right-looking jersey, LA will go out and buy it.
I'll buy that. I think the modern throwbacks, I think is what they call them for the Rams. When they first came out, I'll be honest, I was like, all right, whatever. They've really grown on me. They really have. I think that I think you're right. It's a very specific type of jersey, kind of the color gradation of the numbers from, you know, the top is a little darker than the bottom. I get, maybe not for everybody, but I really do think that they've grown on me a great deal. I'll be honest. You know this about me, how much you and I both love uniforms. I am a sucker for anything that's a throwback to sometime between when I was 8 and 15, because that's when you're just super fired up. So like the Eric Dickerson look, right? That whole era is the sweet spot for me. So I would love to see something like that. But these really have grown on me over the years.
They absolutely have. But just imagine how the Rams fan base would react if they just came out one day and said, we're going back to the Eric Dickerson era permanently. Yeah. I mean, they would lose their minds. It would be universal acclaim. I do love the helmet. My favorite part of the new Rams uniform is the helmet, and it would be tough to put the new helmet on the old jersey. And now since they have the new helmet, it almost makes the old helmet look a little dated. But to me, it's classic, right? So, but yeah, hey, they got to get themselves some top 5 jersey sales guys at some point, because it's definitely a good way to gauge the stars on your team. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And you can follow the People Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.